Okay, and welcome back everybody. So look what we have back on the bench. This has been a long time since I've worked on this one. In fact, I don't even think I was in the shed yet before when I was working on this one last. But it's time to do it. You know, I'm working on the semi. The semi is actually under that panel. They're hiding it for its own updates. But this is going to be a continuation finally on the Digger Cuda. Probably just one or two updates and the thing will be done, because there's not that many parts. So where did we leave off? It was painted. The chassis is painted in duplicolor gunmetal, and the body is probably Rust-Oleum yellow. And it's a good paint job. It was a challenge though, because I wanted the underside to be that semi-gloss, or whatever you call it, kind of black, and so I did the very, very careful masking on the windows. I mean, you can see there that that is a little bit of bleed through there, and that can be cleaned up pretty easily with some really fine grain sandpaper. Just use sandpaper as a kind of an eraser before polishing the body or clear coating the body. And so I'm not worried about that. I'm not sure exactly what happened here. A little bit came through on the nostril. And then we've got all this. I'm going to have to very carefully with an X-Acto pop off all those little spots. I don't remember them being there. I'm not sure if that is from when I did the paint or if it's from something else. But, you know, I'll get it cleaned up. Not worried about it too much. And what I am worried about, though, is that when I do go to clear it, if I go to clear it, how on earth do you keep your semi-gloss from getting all shiny? I mean, I guess you kind of reverse mask, but I'd be afraid of putting tape on that, because I'm pretty sure it would come off when you take the tape off. I haven't come up with a game plan on how I'm going to do that, but I'm hoping that I can just polish up the body to the point where I can put the decals on and be done, which is something that I do pretty often. I don't often clear coat the decals. I don't see a need for it. And I've had models in the case with no clear coat on the decals for 30 years and nothing cracks or peels. So it might be a myth having to clear coat the decals anyway. But yeah, here's where we're at. You know, the bottom is I don't know what I was thinking when I look at the I didn't finish. Yeah, we got things to clean up here. It's been knocked around for a while, but we'll get it all looking good again. Now, the engine, this is how far I got on the engine. Pretty unhappy with it. Pretty unhappy with the chrome and the condition of the chrome. I tried polishing the top of the blower there, and it doesn't polish, so that's no good. Look at this, valve cover's on crooked. Just horrifying. I painted it gold. I regret. I don't know what universe I was in when I did this, but it's not very good work and terrible color choice, and the chrome is in bad shape. So what I think I'm going to do, I'm hoping I don't have a whole bunch of glue on that valve cover, because I got to correct that. I'm probably going to pop this whole thing in the strip tank to strip all that chrome off of there and redo it with the aluminum, more of an aluminum, shiny aluminum, which is basically some of the better chrome paints out there these days. So that's what I'm going to do with that. Here we have one of the rear wheels and tires. We have a very mean, it's an awesome looking wheel, isn't it? And we have one heck of a warp to it. In case nobody knows, the way you fix that is you pop the wheel out, and then it'll be hollow in there, and you jam paper in there. Jam paper in there all the way around in the circle, slowly but surely, till you puff it out. I did that on the Tarantula and that's how you fix that. And I definitely have to do it on this one, which is common on those. And other than that, yeah, we got to look at which version we're going to be going with, because I have the box kind of all laid out here. I cut it up. That's what it's going to look like when with the body off. It looks pretty neat. But there's 3 versions. Okay, so you got the Digger Cuda, which is apparently kind of a fade yellow to green, yellowish green to green maybe. And then you have the Fuller, or you have this one called Stardust, Don Schumacher Stardust. And I'm looking at that, I'm like, well, that's kind of a fantasy version. That's not Stardust, because Stardust is, the car would be blue and white. And so I'm thinking, well, you know, it's kind of a fantasy car in the first place, and so somebody's going with a fantasy paint job. Other than that, the Stardust decals look pretty correct. But then I'm searching on the internet, looking at all the Stardust Cudas, and I run across this one. It really did exist. And so there we go. There was a yellow Stardust. And it's a Barracuda, so Cuda, I get it. And so we're going to be going with Stardust. And those, of course, are going to be the most difficult decals. And I'll show you why. Because the body comes off, and see there? There's a seam. And like, say, for example, if you were to do the Digger Cuda decal, you can see there that the line goes right through the D all the way back to the R, and so you're going to have to cut the decal if you're using that one, and you have to be very straight because it's going to have to line up with the edge, and then you're going to have to line up that decal, and it's going to take some all of them. See, the easiest way to do it would be the Fuller, because it all just goes up above the line. But no, we can't do that. In fact, we're going to do it the most difficult way, because as you can see here, the Stardust decal not only has to be sliced, but it's not exactly in half. It's just the bottom little sliver is going to have to be on the bottom half. And so that is going to make that a difficult decal to work with, because it's kind of going to go to a point. See there? And I think the way we're going to do that is slice the decal right exactly on that dark blue line at the bottom. Here we go. For those of you that can't see dark blue line, anyway, this line here. Where am I? And I just have to slice it right on that line, which is going to come to a point, and that's going to get away from you. It's going to be a challenge to get that decal on. Why am I so shaky? Anyway, looking forward to that. And then on the back as well, probably slice it right on the top of the blue line, the dark blue line. And then apply the decals. And so, not looking forward to that part, but I do like, you know, the rest of the decals I'm looking forward to. Having a little bit of a cracking there on one of them right there. See that? And that's just because these decals have been out in the garage and out in the shed and heated up and cooled down so many times. It's a miracle they look as good as they do. But so and a little bit there above the T. So what I'll do is, after they're applied, I'll mix up some paint and see if I can feather in and fix that. That one right there is going to be right there on the roof, and in a very conspicuous place, so I'm going to have to make sure that one looks good. Anyway, I have no idea how many updates this is going to be. Probably 2 updates. and then this one will be done. So this is something that I'm doing while I'm working on that truck, which has many parts and going to take me forever. So I need something to do while that truck is taking forever. So the Digger Cuda is back on the bench. I have no idea what's going to be in the next scene, but it should be something neat. See you there. Okay, so here we go. We've got this out of the strip. It's not a strip tank. Yeah, it is a strip tank. It was a bleach tank. I just threw the whole thing into the bleach, and that stripped the chrome off chrome parts and left the paint on the paint parts. And then, of course, I was thinking to myself, I've got to get the paint off there too, so I'm getting ready to use, Super Clean. And I happened to have glanced over at the box. Where is it? There it is. And so there's where I got the idea for the gold. Where can I zoom? And now I'm starting to like the gold again. So I think I'm going to leave it gold. But I'm glad I stripped off the chrome parts because the chrome was in such terrible shape. And now I can do things like work on the seam on the blower, the intake, whatever you want to call it. I can really work on that properly and then spray it with the spray chrome. And we'll make that look much better. And I didn't strip all. Now I stripped the rest of the parts, a lot of the other parts that I did not want to be chrome, or to improve the chrome, or one or the other. But I didn't strip them all. I actually left the wheels chrome because I want to. Let's see. If you look in there, it just looks too good. I want to do a very slight black wash in there just to bring out the highlights. And on the front as well. And so, in that thing there, as far as I know, that is like a heat shielding, I think. And I sort of remember, I'm going to double check on that. I remember seeing pictures of that on that area on the internet where that is supposed to be shiny, silver, gold, heat shielding type stuff. So I left that. Other than that, we're ready to move on with the. I got to get that valve covers off there. I've got to get the parts off of there. I hope that works. And so I'm just quick look at this stage. Okay guys, so we have run into a problem, and so let me just go straight into it. The decals, that's going to blur. The decals are coming apart. As I tried to apply them, you can see there, and that was a lot of work just to save that one. It's up too far. That's because the whole front lip of it disappeared. They're crumbling as I try to apply them. And so as much as they look pretty good on the decal sheet, they have gone bad. Their clear coat has gone bad. So what you gotta do is you gotta respray them. And I've got two different options here. I've got the good old-fashioned Testors 1261 clear coat. This is the clear that doesn't have the yellow tint. It's not the high gloss clear. That one has a yellow tint. This is regular 1261 clear. And I've used this before to save decals. It definitely works. Oh yeah, other than that, I have polished the body. The body is polished in new finish, which really does a nice job. And yes, you can definitely apply decals right onto new finish. It's a bit more slippery, but once they're dry, they're on there good. And so that's how we'll be solving that. Oh, I forgot to mention, you notice all the lines are nice and crisp now? What you use for that, there's a thing called a magic sponge. There it is right up there. It's made by, I can't remember what, but you use this in the kitchen. These are kitchen cleaning supplies, and it's like magic. It takes stains off that nothing else would take stains off. And the way it does that is it has an extremely fine grain grit to it. Nobody even knows that it has a grit. But it's like way up there, like 8,000 or 12,000. It's part of the sponge. And you get it wet, and you, I would have liked to have shown that. And you can rub it on if you had, like, if you remember all those spots were on the front. They're all gone. It just takes them right off and leaves the paint on. I mean, it takes a tiny bit of paint off. But for the most part, if you're wanting to clean up the edge on a masking, it will definitely do that safely without removing your paint. And that's what we did there, and that's why it doesn't look like such a disaster now. Anyway, I will spray these decals and come back with the update and move on. Okay, so that's not going so well. I had, so I ended up spraying it with the Testors Clear, and it worked pretty good. They look really nice now. They're a nice thick coat of what I can't seem to find the right angle to show. But the problem with them falling apart has gone away. But they don't stick anymore. I was trying to get these on here, and this one of course goes on right behind the blower, right back there, right about there is where it went, and it wouldn't stick. It would not do the compound curve there. See that? It's like an egg. And I tried and I tried and I tried, and I ended up kind of wrecking the decal, tearing it, and at this point I give up. And what I'm going to do at this point is I'm going to switch from the Stardust decals, and I am just going to, I will be happy if I can just get the Digger decals on there, and we'll make it a true Digger Cuda. Boy, I hope they stick. Anyway, that's what I'm doing, and let's see if that works. And okay, this is what we got. It's not perfect, not at all. These decals, you know what guys, I have never had so much decal problems. This is the good side. I'll spin it around in a moment. But, you know, better than nothing. I will take better than nothing. See the little on the G there? There's a little tiny crack that I have to touch up with. I'll touch it up with a Sharpie. But the overall, you know, the black is not very black. It's not a fantastic decal in the first place, unfortunately, but it is on there. And gosh, I was heading towards having a plain yellow car here. Let me swing it around and I'll show you the bad side. It won't turn. Okay, there it goes. Alright. And there we go. Let's see what we show. And so I have more touching up to do with the Sharpie here. The decal split completely as I was trying to put it on there, and I got it back as close as I could without destroying it completely. So I'll do some repair work on that, and that's where we're going to leave it. I am done with the decals on this one. I'm not touching them anymore. Oh, there's one more. When I was doing a test, if I can get under there, I was doing a test on the underside, so there is a dangerous decal underneath there, and that one went on perfect because it was a test and I didn't want it anyway. Looks so good, I'm going to leave it there. And yeah, look at the size of the gap underneath that rear clip there. That is, I looked and looked and looked, there's no other parts. That gap is supposed to be there. This is, this kit is starting to disappoint me a little bit. I will, of course, do as best I can with it. And I will, the shaker there, I will paint that satin black. That one right there. And so that'll look better. I'll work on everything else. Oh, so yeah, I've been doing a lot of work on the blower. It is almost ready for paint. Working on the seam there, since you strip the chrome off, you can make it look perfect before you re-chrome, which is something else I'm going to have to do on these valve covers. I'll show you in a second. But here is the surprise. I'm actually going to wire it. I have beading wire, black beading wire, and I drilled out the distributor, put 8 wires in there, and oh yeah, I drilled out the holes on the valve covers. But on the edges of the valve covers, see those sinkholes? And they're really bad. So I'm going to have to fill those and sand them. There's a lot of work that's going to have to be done. And that's just the way it's going to be. This is where I'm going to end this segment. I'm sorry it was just a lot of talking and a lot of looking at stuff. I'm going to try my best to edit down to bare minimum so it's not quite so boring. But the next update should be quite a bit more exciting. I'll of course be a lot happier. The whole decal thing was so disappointing. But when it's all done, it will be pretty neat. I have 2 more of these long-nosed dragsters. I've got the Corvette called Stingery, and then I've got the Volkswagen Bug, long-nose Volkswagen Bug dragster. I wish I had a picture of it. I can't remember what that one's called, but that one's going to be neat. And they're all basically the same kit under the body. But those are still sealed with decals that have never been out in the shed, so I have higher hopes for them. This poor Digger Cuda, I'm just going to do the best I can, and that's the way it's going to be. Anyway, thanks for watching. Stay tuned for the next update, which will be better than this one. Alright, see you later, guys.